Hello, my friends. Welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Have you ever had your favorite guy, say Jebadiah, stuck out in orbit and he ran out of fuel for being able to come home? Or, alternatively, you have a little space station that you just want to rendezvous with. Rendezvous is a very interesting word. We'll have to talk about that later. But today we are going to talk about rendezvous and how to perform a maneuver without using all of the automation from just MechJeb. Yes, I do have the mod MechJeb installed, and we are going to take advantage of a few of the automations of MechJeb, like getting into orbit, but alternatively, I am going to try manually set up the rendezvous without using MechJeb to do the calculations, I will have him do the burns most of the time, and then as we get close, it will all be manual. So this is the fancy little ship I built. I built it with this kind of stair-step idea because I wanted to shed off weight. The two longest side boosters are going to feed everything, and then the two next shortest and then the shortest will feed all of the remaining engines as we shed those engines off. And we will get rid of the weight, and it will get us into orbit in a way. Now, look at this. We have to select a target if we want to use MechJeb to kind of help us get into the right start for an orbit. And I'm going to choose 60 degrees. And I think this is a good angle, but I could be totally wrong on this. So this is just a guess in the dark, pun intended, but we will get the launch going and just let MechJeb get us into space, and he will circularize the orbit and get us ready to set up our manual intersection to hit the rendezvous. So, not to belabor the point, we are at 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. I was a little ahead of that one. But, did you notice that the camera and the whole rocket was wiggling just before launch? I think that's a weird bug that's being caused by MechJeb trying to counteract the rotation of the planet or something. I don't know. But, letting MechJeb take care of this, we've got our boosters just piling away there, and let's get into orbit. Here we go. So while we're traveling at 400 times speed into orbit and watching bits and pieces of my rocket explode, no, I'm just joking, let's discuss how we're going to do this. When we get close to Jebadiah, we're going to find that the whole physics of the game kind of change. It's not exactly that they change, it's just when we get closer, our relative knowledge and view of what's going on actually allows us to make more finite controls, whereas when we're trying to just get close to them, like we're hundreds of thousands of meters away right now, and we're trying to get just close to them, we're trying to hit a pin from a mile away. It's insane. It's like trying to use a slingshot to hit a pin from that distance. And we also have this angle that we are at like 5 degrees difference to Jebadiah, which gives us a little bit more of a learning moment here. And we're going to pay attention to these ascending nodes and descending nodes to kind of help us align our orbit. And then I'm going to make arrangements to get close and rendezvous. That's actually what it's called, with Jebadiah's spacecraft. So here, I'm going to add the maneuver, and this is where we're going to use these purple nodes here that will help us control the pitch of our angle around the planet. So as you notice, that started to drip down, and the ascending node and descending node started to move away from where I placed the node. So as I roll it, using my scroll wheel, I can do kind of fine tunes, and I'm getting closer to a 0. And then, of course, I screwed up the node by actually trying to set up the maneuver, and I'm like, no, let's do this one at a time. So restarting this, let's get into the right mode, get it to 0. And when the node is ready, and we're just going to go for it. Oh, that shot way past. So now I got to use my scroll wheel. Let's just scroll. And if you scroll fast, it's going to start moving fast. Yeah, just like that. And you just kind of fine tune it. You look for that sweet spot, and look, there we go. 0 degrees up and down. That's going to be good. Okay, so I'm going to pull out the maneuver planner. And this, I'm not going to do any calculations with the create node or create and exit. execute. We're just going to execute the node, which this will allow our mech Jeb to control the ship and do the burn precisely as we need it. So we'll just play with that for now. And it also automatically warps, which makes it so we don't have to wait as long. That's kind of nice. So we're doing the burn, and wait, the burns. Oh, I ran out of fuel. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. But we can't stage from here. This is weird. So you have to go back into the normal screen in order to stage the rocket and get the next engine activated. So here we go. And Mike Jeb was so kind to make sure that we still finish our burn. Nice. Okay. Now that we are aligned with Jebadiah's spacecraft, we're able to set up our next node. And this will be kind of tricky because you gotta kind of, oddly enough, you just gotta push the node around and feel for, like, where are things gonna suddenly get close. Now, the orange arrows indicate the first time we're gonna cross paths. The purple arrows indicate the second time we'd cross paths. And if you notice, these purple ones get really close, and we're going to see if we can just nudge that a little bit closer. I almost feel like Bob Ross. Just ease that in there, and then just like that, it's just magical. We just have an intersection, and the rendezvous has been initiated. So beautiful. Now, we'll just put a dash of a little bit more space on there to make sure that it's down to 1.8 kilometers. And, oh, no, we got it to 0.8 kilometers, even better. No, okay, so enough with the Bob Ross. Now all we got to do is execute this node, and we will be pretty darn close to catching up to Jebadiah. Isn't that cool? And now, what's going to happen is we're going to go almost a full orbit around, and you'll see that the purple arrows will turn orange as we pass the second orange that's on the right of the screen. Well, that was on the right of the screen just now. So Jebadiah Mech Jeb is about to make its burn, and it makes the burn for exactly what we need it to, which aligns us to the system. And when we go back to the map, we are going to no longer, that's our last automated use of Mech Jeb. I mean, here we go. What we're going to do is I'm going to pick a point very close to our rendezvous point, and we are going to just warp to it. Warp to it. Engage. So let's warp there. Okay, after we've warped there, we are ready to start our manual maneuvers. And I'm going to use, the only thing I'm going to use of Mech Jeb is the positioning to point the craft. This is just going to save time so that I'm not like clicking around with my keyboard while I'm trying to record. So we're going to bring up the smart directional system for pointing towards our target. And I'm going to say relative velocity negative, which means we're going to be pointing in the direction that if I give any engine power in this direction, we will be slowing our relative speed to each other. Because I think we're actually a little bit ahead of them. If I hover up over the node, you'll see, I was right now just looking for the speed, but we're looking at the distance, and there's the speed. We're about 210, and oh, yeah, right here. Down on the ball, I don't know what to call it, it's really our direction ball, that's telling us our relative speed to Mr. Jebadiah just over there. So, while I reduce the speed between us, this is kind of important that you get started early on it, because you're going to find that it takes a moment to shift weight around in space. We see these little things. I've actually activated the third tab in this area, and that's showing our intersection points and how long we are going to be before we get to our next intersection point, if there is any intersection points, because it will go to NA if there's no second intersection point. You'll see that in a moment, if you pay attention to it. But while we zoom in here, while we're zooming in here, we have a difference of quite a few speed. Like, I know it says that we're only like 13 meters per second, but we're trying to now figure out where he is. And again, he's far enough away. He's like a pixel in comparison to the rest of the sky. He's really, really hard to see. He's somewhere in that direction because we have Mech Jeb pointing us straight at him. And Jebadiah is still not able to be seen. But he does come into focus here in just a few seconds. And I'm just trying to increase the speed so that we can get just a little bit closer. And this is kind of wonky. It's like, oh, where is he? I'm trying to find him. There's got to be just a pixel moving somewhere around there. And this is one thing that's really kind of cool about Kerbal Space Program is we are going into the realm of where a spaceship already is, and the game has already started rendering him without trying to slow down the rest of the game. So Jebadiah, even though he probably wasn't loaded just a few moments ago, is kind of poking around, and the pixels are being filled in by the game without slowing us down or doing a jitter or a load screen. This is all real time, and it's beautiful that we can experience this. And now I want to bring to light what's going on the direction ball. We have a pinkish bracket, and we have the yellow bracket, and then we have our center point. When we get closer, the yellow bracket has two sides. It has this kind of upside down T, and it has a little like upside down Y shape. Let's go look at see how it's kind of like an upside down Y with the circle? And then we have the pink, which has an upside down Y with no circle. There's that pink one scrolling past. And then we have the pink with a center dot and kind of brackets going around it. And you can see MechJeb, by the way. I didn't point him out, but he's off in that dark spot on the planet right now. He's that pixel that's moving towards us. And I am just making little adjustments using the main engine because I don't want to use up all my RCS fuel before we get to him. That RCS is a lot more for the finite controls when we are literally less than 50 feet away from him, or 50 meters, to make it just a little bit larger. But right now I was trying to click on him and see if we couldn't change the target, because I think the target is aiming at the center of the the spacecraft right now. And we want to target the docking port that is on the side of that spacecraft. So you can see that docking port coming into view just now, and you can see MechJeb trying to keep us pointed at him, and we're not doing so good because we've got too much velocity going off into this left side. I'm actually going to activate the engines here for a second. Let's set it to counter our velocity, and then we will just zero it out. Here we go. I don't know why I have the MechJeb information open still, but whatever. Whoa! My RCS just decided to waste a whole bunch of RCS. That's awesome. That's cool. Anyway, I think we're close enough. We can, let's hear, pan just a little bit, and yeah, we can select that as our target. Now I can hit the bracket. The little square brackets that you have on your keyboard will help you toggle between ships that are nearby. So I toggled over to Jebadiah, and now I can set him to follow us. So we have that docking port pointed straight at us, and we're pointing at the docking port. And this is where the beauty comes into play. I almost wish we could do the... Yeah, we're going to do it. Bum, 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 dun, 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 dun. Yep, that was worth it. Now, there was a weird error that was happening where we were kind of starting to twist around each other, and I had to disable one of the smart guidance systems. And now we have MechJeb, and he's on our craft, which means we have succeeded at our mission. We are looking through the eyes of MechJeb right now. He is on this craft, and it looks kind of like he's in an aircraft. That's kind of cool. He is in that crew pod, and he is ready to go home. He will be saved today. We will not lose our epic Jebadiah Kerman. So, I hope that helps you with Rendezvous, and that you will be able to do this a little bit easier in the future. That's all I got for you today. Bye-bye.